Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of finance and crypto. So let's just dive in and let's start off with this video. So I did include this video in one of my recent XRP videos talking about what's happening around our economy and how we are about to inflate the hell out of the US dollar. And yeah, that's because of this video here. So we do see Senator Ron Johnson, you are going to drive the debt to $50 trillion. Janet Yellen, yes, but what I believe is the single most important metric for judging the fiscal stance of the country is real net interest as a share of GDP. Listen closely to this.
You're going to drive the debt from somewhere around $32 trillion up to about $50 trillion, correct?
Yes, but what I believe is the single most important metric for judging the fiscal stance of the country is real net interest as a share of GDP.
Okay.
We have
so are you concerned when
GDP.
you're taking the debt from $32 to $50 trillion? Are you concerned who's going to buy that debt? And also, at what rate they'll expect to be compensated for buying riskier and riskier debt. Are you concerned about that?
Well, if the real net interest cost of the debt remains low relative to GDP, and we're on a sustainable fiscal.
Well, we're not on a sustainable path. You're going to.
So yeah, in that video, we talked about sustainability around this. It absolutely means nothing at this point, but we do see down here, recently Yellen said that the US financial system is safest and most liquid in the world. Yep, that's right. That's what we heard. From this, we start to see a lot of things shifting around finance. Specifically, a lot of individuals have been withdrawing their money from their bank accounts and pushing it over into other areas of interest. Like, for an example, crypto is a perfect example of that. But with this, we also did see this. So $1 trillion has likely exited the US banking system as America risks global economic isolation. And yeah, this is pretty interesting. So depositors appear to have pulled about $1 trillion out of the banking system so far this year. Now, what's interesting about this is that if you go back all the way to about roughly, I would say, the new year, so January 1st, from January 1st to now, what has crypto done? What has crypto done? What has gold? What has most of the stocks? Like, as you really take a step back and look what's happening around these markets, we are starting to see money flowing from bank accounts into tangible assets, into digital assets, stocks. I mean, as you really look at what's happening, I do believe that we have a perfect storm narrative here, where individuals are going to continue to pull their money out of the banks and push it into things like crypto. But it makes sense because guess what? We are about to see hyperinflation, because as we continue to, print more money and push the debt even higher, well, it's only a recipe for disaster. And I do believe that we will see the debt ceiling raised. I think that that's not even a question. And what happens after that? Well, we already know things are going to get extremely expensive. Hyperinflation definitely is going to take over. It's definitely going to be a very interesting time in 2024 and beyond, as we really kind of see what the US is going to do to deal with a lot of these issues. But we recently just talked about how we will most likely see the largest crash in financial history, and it's going to lead to something very interesting. I will leave you guys to go watch that video if you wanted to. But all of this is happening while we continue to see a major fight against crypto happening around the world. We do see over here a targeted attack on Bitcoin miners is taking place in Europe. Sweden increases the electricity tax for data centers by 6,000% to curb the mining industry. This is insane. 6,000%. And when we actually look at the profitability around Bitcoin, most of the cost around mining, well, it's 80% electricity. So by increasing this by 6,000%, this will ultimately kill any profitability around Bitcoin mining, at least in Europe. What I find insane about all of this, though, is that for the longest time, we continued to hear about crypto and the sustainability behind it, the energy usage. Like, think about what we have done to protect the US dollar for so many decades. We have gone through multiple wars. We have, dropped bombs. I mean, like, where is the true narrative here around crypto and the environmental impact when we have war constantly going on to protect the US dollar? Like, it really is a hypocritical statement to say that crypto is not sustainability, that crypto uses way too much energy, that crypto is destroying the earth. I mean, go back years and years and years and years and look at the harm that we have done to this earth just to protect the US dollar. It makes zero sense. But also, we do see over here from everyone's favorite person, Hillary Clinton, cryptocurrencies can destabilize nations. Yeah, listen closely to this.
One more area that I hope nation states start paying greater attention to is the rise of cryptocurrency, because what looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. So when we think about this new environment in which we find ourselves that we've been discussing for the last some minutes, we can't just think about nation states.
And this is comical, when we talk about the US dollar as a reserve currency. Again, in that video from earlier today, I did talk about that as well. Outside of crypto, the BRICS are moving so fast away from the US dollar that it's not crypto that's destabilizing nations. No, absolutely not. And honestly, again, like, when we look at what's happening around the US dollar, as we look at what's happening around fiat currencies and for the history of fiat currencies, like, I would argue that crypto is the retail sector's last hope at taking control of their actual funds and creating economic growth from it. And I mean massive economic growth. Like, you are not going to find the percentage gain around any other asset class that you can within crypto. DeFi has a ton of opportunities within it. Why do you believe that they're going after DeFi and staking as a service? They want to make sure that they get their taxpayer money so that they can print another $18 trillion and loan out that debt and pay interest on it and utilize taxpayer money. Like, without taxpayer money, well, the US government can't print more money. They can't inflate the markets. They can't, do the idiotic things that they do financially on a daily basis without your funds. That's right. Like, this is the problem around our entire economy, that's built upon nonsense. It's built upon fairy tale land, lending money out just so that we could print more debt and then, basically sell that debt, pay on that debt. And it's a constant cycle. It's a never ending cycle of debt. And again, like, this is why we say what we are seeing around our economy is basically financial ruin. Now, I do want to lead you guys to the next topic here, which is again around the SEC lawsuit. So we do see SEC's Hester Pierce says Gensler's plan to target DeFi undermines First Amendment. And I completely agree with this statement. But also, we've seen Hester Pierce take not only this shot at Gary Gensler, but also another one. Over here, we do see agreed, Hester Pierce. Every member of Congress should receive a copy of Commissioner Pierce's recent dissent. Her words are the words of a sitting commissioner, not a critic like me or a business/entrepreneur like Coinbase. Powerful. And here we have it. So in just 60-something words, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce has managed to articulate all that hits awfully close to home. Thank you. And here we have today's commission tells entrepreneurs trying to do new things in our markets to come in and register. When entrepreneurs find they cannot, the commission dismisses the possibility of making practical adjustments to our registration framework to help entrepreneurs register and instead rewards their good faith with an enforcement action. And I know it's kind of like, it's not funny, but it is comical. Like, this is what actually is happening. Today's commission treats the notice and comment rulemaking process not as a conversation, but as a threat. And yeah, like, this is the problem that we have with the SEC. is that we have this clown parading around, and I mean the clown Gary Gensler, parading around saying, come in and register. I mean, that is just, it's a big trap. They want to trap these companies. They want to trap anyone that is trying to innovate within crypto. It's the same way that they want to stop out all of the, banks that were utilizing crypto and sourcing crypto, and, all the crypto banks as well. Like, they don't want crypto to thrive within the US. All they want is full control over the entire industry, because guess what? They want to make sure that they get their taxpayer money. They want to collect a ton of fees. They don't want any exchange to thrive. I mean, it truly is despicable as an agency to not only conduct business the way that they are, but also for our government to continue to fund this absolute joke of an agency that is taxpayer money funded. But again, our government, come on, who actually thinks that our government's going to do anything in the good faith of the people? They have never done that. But then also over here from Johnny Dean, if XRP was itself an illegal security, the way the SEC now claims, why would the SEC allow, the SEC now claims, why would the SEC allow this MoneyGram partnership 18 months before Clayton dropped the lawsuit on his last full day at the SEC and the very next day after meeting with Gary Gensler? To my knowledge, no one has asked Clayton about that meeting with Gensler the day before filing the case. And honestly, it's just like, it really is questionable on what was happening during that time frame. We still need a lot of insights from that. There's still so much information left on the table that we have yet to actually see. And it's questionable on if we will ever see it. But, it really does beg the question, like, what was happening? Like, what was going on? And I don't believe that XRP is a security. I don't think that XRP will be deemed a security. But we are still waiting. We're still waiting in the dark. We're being patient. But it is crazy that this case has been dragging on for over 2 and almost a half years now. With it looks like there's no hope for it to end anytime soon. And I really do question on, like, when is it going to end? When is this, case going to be put behind us? When are we going to finally get a kill shot on the SEC to shut them down and shut them out of crypto already? Because as the SEC stands currently right now, we have zero transparency, zero clarity, zero insights on anything happening around crypto, because again, they don't want to have any sort of transparency. And why would they? Why would they? Because guess what? At the end of the day, I think Brad Garlinghouse summed it up perfectly himself. When you behave like an autocrat running a $2.2 billion bloated agency, why would you ever want to provide clarity about what's in or out? And again, like, they want to continue to go after these projects without any transparency, without any clarity, and continue to tell them to come in and register just so that they could turn around and screw them. Because again, it's an easy payday for them. Because they already met with them, they already talked to them, they already seen the loopholes, they already seen the problems within their business model, and now they have that information to go after them. So it's an easy win for the SEC. It's the same exact reason why, this case is still going on for almost 2.5 years. It's because Ripple has not given up. They have not taken the easy way out. They could have. They had opportunities to settle already. But what they want is 100% clear guidance around XRP and clarity around XRP. But also, they want to beat the SEC because they believe that they are in good faith for not only those that were investing into XRP, because again, XRP is not Ripple, Ripple is not XRP, XRP is not an investment contract, but also Ripple is a company themselves. They were not in the wrong. And again, every single business model that they described to the SEC, because they did meet with the SEC on a weekly basis, essentially, it was all transparent. Everything was, well, I should say everything should have been documented, but we have no idea because, again, we have not seen any documents from the SEC, and the ones that we have were basically just hidden from public view. But yeah, it really is crazy that we still have been going on for 2.5 years. But if this was any other company, they would immediately settle. And that's what we have been seeing around the SEC cases lately. Is just these companies taking the easy way out and saying, okay, we'll settle. We just want to continue on with business, so we will settle. And that's it. But Ripple was a completely different force. And I think that that's what changes the game around this case, is that SEC thought it was an easy win, but guess what? It wasn't. And last but not least, I do want to take you guys over here to this article that got posted yesterday. So we do see U.S. Congress to tackle SEC oversight stablecoin legislation as well. So there's two separate hearings that's happening next week. And first off, the first one on Tuesday is with SEC Chair Gary Gensler. We talked about it. He's going to be in the hot seat before the U.S. House Committee on Financial Services. The topic is oversight of the SEC. The next day, the Subcommittee on Digital Assets, Financial Technology, and Inclusion will take up a draft legislation relating to stablecoins. So definitely pay attention to these two because they do matter for our entire industry. We are going to see DeFi being brought up around changing the definition of exchange under the Federal Exchange Act rule. And this is going to address a lot of the platforms, especially the DeFi ones. So there's a lot to do with DeFi itself, but also stablecoins. So definitely stay tuned to this. I think that these two meetings are going to be pretty large, I would argue, because again, a lot is riding on a lot of these meetings. We get to see a lot more information. We get to see, what Gary Gensler is going to do, which I talked about a little bit. I think that he's going to avoid, deflect like he always does. And then from there on out, we will hear there's already rules in place. They can come in and register, the same old game that he plays every single time. But I'm definitely interested to see what happens. I think that's going to be very interesting going forward around what happens with the SEC. We are seeing the SEC Chair Gary Gensler gets slammed from the inside around an actual SEC commissioner, somebody that is working with this individual that understands what's happening at the SEC and sees it from our point of view, which is a completely different story, compared to what we are used to seeing. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. It's just up to you all. Have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.